you will need a pair of 3D glasses for the tour. One of our studio tour ambassadors will be coming by to give you those in just a few moments, so don't panic. Don't worry, you will be given those glasses for King Kong 360 3D, and of course, Fast and the Furious Supercharged. If you happen to have any small children with you, as I'm looking around, nobody does. If you did, they're planning on having any while we're on the route, good idea to keep them in the middle of the road for their safety. Now folks, it has been a long year and a half. We have been down, but we are certainly not out, and we are about to go out once again over the 400 acres in our lot where some of your favorite television shows, features, commercials, and music videos have been filmed. Over there on your right hand side you will see that lot. That is just a portion of where we're going to be heading on our driving tour. Now, our driving tour is just that, it's a driving tour. 400 acres is a lot of ground to cover, which is why it is a driving tour. And I need to introduce you to the most important person to that aspect of the tour. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together a few times for our driver, Jesse! The nurse of steel behind the wheel. He's going to make sure we get around safe and sound and home in one piece. It looks like the doors are starting to come down on the left-hand side, so watch your arms, legs, and elbows as they do. It looks like we're waiting to put possibly a few more people into car number 2. Yes, we got some folks coming down the queue right now as we speak. As we leave the theme park behind and head off into the lot, now I got one more person that I must introduce as we begin our tour. He is my co-host. You may recognize him from Saturday Night Live, and he's currently the host of The Tonight Show. Ladies and gentlemen, it's Jimmy Fallon!
Oh, hey there! You made it! Welcome to the Universal Studio Tour. I'm Jimmy Fallon. I'll be making sure that you get through this experience in one piece. You've got the very best guide, Patrick, and the greatest driver, Jesse. They're the best. I love that. Even though Jesse owes me $5. I know you guys are excited to get on the tour, but first, a few safety rules.
That's right. We have just a few more safety rules to go over before we continue on with the tour. First, if you need guest assistance or have a medical emergency, or if you drop something of value off the side of the tram or have any sound or video issues, reach up and grab the red ink cord that runs along the center of the ceiling of the tram, and I'll be back to assist you as soon as it's safe to do so. Otherwise, during the entire tour, please remain seated and keep your arms and legs inside the vehicle at all times. The studio is private property. If at any time during the tour you drop the phone or just can't wait to use the restroom, pull the cord and remain seated. Please no smoking of any kind during the tour. Now, be prepared. Our tour today features loud noises, sudden tram movements, fire effects, and many, many water effects. So you want to have the cameras ready for some great photo opportunities, but keep your eyes on them so they don't get wet or lost. Finally, for your safety and the safety of those around you, please do not use selfie sticks while you are on board, and keep those masks on your face, above your nose, and below your chin. All right, we have finished with the rules and the regulations. We are now heading off into the lot for our tour as we cross the intersection here, traveling down Kirk Douglas Drive. We here in the biz refer to it as Timeline. Why? Because if you look to your left and your right, you're going to notice these movie posters here, which represent just a fraction of the thousands of films we have made here at Universal over the years. From our classic Universal monster movies like Dracula and Frankenstein, to our Academy Award winners like The Sting and Gladiator, and then all the way to the big, big blockbusters like Jaws, E.T., the Back to the Future series, of course the Jurassic Park series, and one of the biggest film franchises of all time over there on your right-hand side, the Fast and the Furious series, Fast and the Furious 9, coming out June 25th. Universal Studios has a rich history, 106-year history. It was on March 15th, 1915, that our founder, Carl Laemmle, cut the ribbon, opening on what used to be a chicken ranch to what he called the strangest city on earth, Universal City, which has evolved beyond features into television, the theme park and city walk. Ironically, March 15th, 2020, 106 years after this date, was the date that Universal did not open its doors due to the pandemic, which is why we are so excited to be back here today.
Yay!
All of this production happened down here in our lot. Now we're going to be exploring the two sections of our lot, the front lot and the back lot. We're going to be starting with the front lot. Now the front lot contains mainly sound stages. We have 28 sound stages in total on the entire lot. Filming mostly interiors, the insides of places, but we can fake the outside on the inside of them. And if you're wondering what they look like, they're very, very exciting. Just take a look to your left, you're going to see they look like that. Big brown buildings! Yay! Very exciting. Actually, that one is exciting. That is Soundstage 12. It is the largest soundstage in our front lot. And it was formerly the home to The Voice, which has moved. Don't worry, it has not been canceled. They have just moved into other sound stages into our backlot. Soundstage 12 has housed some of the largest sets in movie history. Dracula's Castle and Frankenstein's Laboratory and the 1931 horror classics. The Visitor Center from Jurassic Park was filmed in there. As we cross this intersection, we're going to pass some more of our sound stages. Again, still here on your left-hand side, Soundstage 20, the original CSI, filmed inside Soundstage 20, Soundstage 19. Scenes from the film Bruce Almighty, starring Jim Carrey, filmed in there. 18 was home to the Munsters for years. The Munsters had neighbors in Soundstage 17. Couldn't have been more opposite. The Cleavers, Leave It to Beaver, filmed inside there. And finishing off this row, Soundstage 16, which was the setting and location for probably one of the most famous and gruesome murders in all of film history, the shower scene from Psycho, directed by Alfred Hitchcock. Now, most recently, they just wrapped taking up not one, not two, but three sound stages. The TV series Superstore, starring Ben Feldman, Colt Gunn, recently wrapped and aired their final season. They took up three sound stages. The third sound stage they took up was Soundstage 21. Over here on your left-hand side, Soundstage 21 is the second largest soundstage in our front lot. Ron Howard used the soundstage a few times. It was one of 11 sound stages he used when he filmed Dr. Seuss's How the Grinch Stole Christmas, and it was also used to build Mission Control for Apollo 13. Now, I've mentioned a lot of films that have used our sound stages. Films use our sound stages quite often, but not usually for very long, maybe a couple of weeks or so before they move on to other locations or other areas around the lot. Our sound stations now are mostly used for television. First broadcast NBC put out was in 1939 at the opening ceremonies of the New York World's Fair. Since then, we've created and broadcast some of the biggest and most popular television shows in history. One of those eras, probably the greatest era of television, the 70s and the 80s, all of the sitcoms that came out. These sound stages over on your right-hand side during those times was referred to as sitcom alley, because this is where Different Strokes, Silver Spoons, One Day at a Time, Facts of Life, all filmed here. Currently in Soundstage 42, which we just passed, NBC's Mr. Mayor, filming inside there, starring Ted Danson, coming off his incredible run of The Good Place, and of course, getting his star-turning role as Sam Malone, the bartender in Cheers, also on NBC. And if you take a look over to your left-hand side, you are not mistaken, that is my Thunder Buddy for life, Ted! The star of Ted and Ted 2, celebrating very early our return to the tour. Now, he is standing in front of the production bungalows here on your left-hand side. These bungalows used to be dressing rooms for some of Hollywood's biggest names at the time. Rock Hudson, Jimmy Stewart, Lucille Ball, Doris Day, just to name a few. But now they're being used by writers and producers and directors and people who have development deals with NBC Universal. Now, the most famous of our bungalows is coming up still on your left-hand side. It is Bungalow 5195. What makes it so famous? Well, as we pass, you're going to see a silhouette that's painted on right next to the front door there. That silhouette is none other than the master of thrillers himself, Mr. Alfred Hitchcock, where he worked on such classics as Vertigo and, of course, the legendary Psycho. And as we pass the bungalows, you're going to see these gray buildings here. Still on your left, these are some of our newest soundstages, 22 and 23. The first production are moving to 22 and 23. Hairspray Live starring John Travolta. Will and Grace. The reboot was done inside there. And of course, Peacock's reboot of the all-new Punky Brewster starring the amazing Soleil Moon Frye. Now as we cross this intersection, we are now going to be leaving the front lot. We're entering the back lot. This is where all the big stuff happens. You're going to see, again, still, on your left-hand side, our New York Metropolitan sets, where they are currently constructing and setting up for American Ninja Warrior, which is set to return very, very soon. So we're going to leave the concrete jungle of the big city behind and head on off to the prehistoric jungle of Skull Island, home to the legendary King Kong.
It's the original King Kong that made me want to do movies. I saw that movie on TV when I was about 8 years old, and I wanted to become a filmmaker. I like films that just take you away from your real life and sweep you up an adventure. Kong literally does that. I mean, you're on board the ship, you're sailing to a lost island, you're encountering monsters and creatures from, prehistoric times. So I was thrilled when Universal invited me back to Skull Island, and it's great to have you along the ride. Now we have created this 3D immersive experience where you're going to have regular glasses. Don't put on yet, just put them in your hand because we're about to return to Skull Island.
Alright folks, there is no wait time here, so please remain in your seats as we are now returning to Skull Island.
Glasses on, everybody. We're back in Skull Island.
Uh-oh, technical difficulties.
Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for King Kong 363D!
Short edition.
Yes, just playing there. As you can see, folks, we have experienced some technical difficulties here on King Kong 363D as we all try to adjust and get back.
He hasn't had his coffee yet.
Right, but please remain in your seat. But you know what the good thing about being here this early in the morning is that they're going to let us go back around again. So we're going back through. So this is what we're going to call, what we call in the biz, going back to one. Everyone back to their places. The cameras yell cut, said okay, everyone back to one. So if you were a person walking down the street or across camera, if you were driving from one end to the other, running up the set of stairs, during the original shot, they say back to one, you go back to where you started to do that action all over again. And this also gives me a minute to point out, as we go back around, King Kong may be the biggest in size stars that ever worked here at Universal Studios. But some of the biggest stars in history have worked right out there in our metropolitan sets. Our New York metropolitan sets, the Academy Award-winning The Sting filmed out there. Scenes from Captain America, the First Avenger, filmed in our metro sets. And some of the biggest directors, just like Peter Jackson, Steven Spielberg, Ron Howard. All right, it looks like we're about to make our way back around. So here we try again for take two. Once again, remain in your seats. Keep those masks on, have those cameras ready.
Take two.
And we're about to return again. To style. Film 363D was brought to Universal Studios Hollywood by Weta Digital and Academy Award-winning director Sir Peter Jackson. This epic battle was created using some of the most advanced filmmaking technology today and projected on some of the largest 3D screens in the world. Standing at 40 feet high and 180 feet long, they are definitely big enough for the mighty...
With a project like a studio tour, the audience is in the middle of the environment. They're looking in all directions, there's creatures coming at them, they're seeing Kong from this side and T-Rexes from the other side.
Working on a movie, we always know people are looking straight ahead, they're looking at the shot that we're working on.
Here you have to take into account that people are looking in all directions.
Also, one of the things about this ride, I'm at least they're working on, there's no cuts. Because of one shot, this tram driving along through Skull Island, this is where the camera's from. This ring represents where the screen is 10 meters away. We're really creating about 50 minutes of a feature film. That amount of visual information, that number of pixels, and presenting it to the audience, which you can tell them about.
Now, everybody obviously noticed that our tram made an appearance on the screen during our experience with Colin. The moment that happened, our tram became what is known as a picture car. Now, a picture car is any car or vehicle, whether it is driven or not, that appears on the screen in the film or project. See a few lady look, ah! Always looking both ways before crossing the street. These are just a few examples of the picture cars that have been seen in Universal Pictures. We got something real special for you. We're going to show you a few more coming up on your left-hand side. Starting with Kit the Ford Cobra, using the rebooted Night Ride of the TV series. We have the Ferrari, driven by Tom Selleck from Magnum PI, which is not actually a Ferrari. It's a dune buggy with a VW engine and a Ferrari-shaped body they put on the top. Also have the Flintstones! The Flintstone-mobiles! And of course, no collection here, Universal would be complete without the fleet from the Fast and the Furious. We also have the Gyrosphere and the Jeep from the Jurassic Park series. The Jurassic Park series has become one of the biggest film franchises of all time. Each film breaking records left and right. With Jurassic World, I believe, coming in now as the #4 biggest film of all time. And Jurassic Park Dominion, starring Chris Pratt, Bryce Dallas Howard, is back in production. We will be seeing that film, I promise you. And the biggest surprise and glory of them all is that Sam Neill, who played Dr. Grant, Jeff Goldblum, who played Dr. Ian Malcolm, and Academy Award winner Laura Dern, who played Dr. Ellie Sattler, all three will be returning in the film. And in celebration of this news, let's set the mood with a little music here, because, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Jurassic Park. Each one of these props and vehicles was used in a Jurassic Park film. Over on your left-hand side, that is the mobile lab from the Lost World Jurassic Park. It's not actually a real vehicle. If you look at the back of it, as we pass, you'll see it's actually made of wood. And 4 of our Velociraptors wanted to say hello. Folks, say hello to Big Pete, Little Pete, Little John, and Steve. Now, one of the aspects of the Jurassic Park films that they use in every film, and they use it quite well, is their use of extreme weather. Thunder, lightning, rain. There always seems to be a giant storm that manages to drop into the most intense part of every Jurassic Park film. And folks sometimes ask, well, how do you do that? You can't control the weather. And I'm here to tell you, yes we can. In a way. As we roll into Old Mexico here, we're going to put on a little bit of a weather demonstration for you, show you just one of the ways we're able to add weather to film and television, even if we're on the inside of one of our sound stations. We're going to be helped. Oh, man, who's in the booth today? It is my man Steve. What's going on, Steve?
Hey, Steve.
Now, as you can see in here, Steve's got our effects going for us. He's got thunder coming from speakers on either side. The lightning's coming from strobe lights. Now we're just going to wait for Steve to turn the water on. And when he does, water's going to be pushed through the sprinkler, shot straight in the air. As it falls to earth, it breaks apart naturally to look like rain. And that way we have full control of the weather as we need it, as I said, even if we're on the inside of one of the sound stages. If we need it to stop raining, we just push the button, turn it off. We're ready to go. Turn it right back on. All right, Steve, you can turn the water off. Steve, you can turn the water off now. Steve! That was our flash flood simulation. And for those of you sitting around saying, man, they sure do waste a lot of water around here. Actually, we don't. That's thousands of gallons of recycled water that's now being pumped back up the hill into a giant tank and awaiting the next trail. Now, Old Mexico here was most recently used. Any Star Trek fans out there? Well, the new series Star Trek Picard, Old Mexico, was used as the Romulan refugee site. That series starring Patrick Stewart. But what goes hand in hand with Old Mexico, but of course, the Old West. Over on your left-hand side, this is the area a lot known as 6 Points, Texas. Some of Hollywood's most famous cowboys have moseyed on down these streets. Jimmy Stewart, of course, the Duke himself, John Wayne. Some of you may recognize it. This area we're actually on right now, imagine a gold car is pulled up and Brad Pitt steps out playing Cliff Booth as he's dropping Leonardo DiCaprio playing Rick Dalton in Quentin Tarantino's Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, starring Leonardo DiCaprio, Brad Pitt, and Margot Robbie. This was the set of Lancer, the Western television series that he was on in the show. Our tour is now approximately at the halfway mark, so I just want to remind everybody to remain seated during the entire tour. The studio is private property. Anytime during the tour you drop the phone, just go with use the restroom. Pull the cord and remain seated, and I'll be back to assist you as soon as it's safe to do so. Now, I'm going to need to turn my microphone down to about 25%. You're going to see over on your right-hand side these bungalows here. And that wooden picket fence, that is the set to Home and Family, which airs on the Hallmark Channel. They film here pretty much every day. They are right next to Little Europe, the area which is now over on your left-hand side. Little Europe is where Dracula, Frankenstein, and Mummy, all the classic horror films filmed right out there. It was also the afterlife for The Good Place, starring Ted Danson and Kristen Bell. Now, since we can't go into Little Europe, we've got something extra special here for you, also because we've been away a while. We have been given permission to bring everybody inside to Soundstage 50, so you can get a first-hand look at what it appears like on the inside of the soundstage while it is being used for reproduction. Now, this is what we refer to as a hot set. A hot set is any set that's being dressed or is dressed and ready for filming. We're not allowed to touch anything. So please remain seated, not that you should be getting up as it is, but you can take as many photos as you want. I highly recommend that you do, because you can see they've done an amazing job of turning this into this is California. Alright, but please remain calm, remain seated. There is nothing to worry about here. Remain sit. You just survived Earthquake, the big one! Simulation of an 8.3 earthquake. Now, normally effects like these would take weeks to set up, film, and edit, and test before they are made into screen or air. But here, in the confines of the studio, we are able to make that happen within the safety and the confines of the lot. It's one of the reasons why filmmakers love to film here at Universal Studios Hollywood. We are a one-stop shop for all of your filmmaking needs. Is that where we're overlapping? Okay. Folks, we decided we're going to give you a little bit of a break from the floods and fires and whatnot. And since you've come back, we're going to take a little staycation, an island staycation. The island being Amity, which of course was the setting between Jaws, directed by Steven Spielberg. This was not the actual filming location. The actual filming location was Martha's Vineyard on the East Coast. We made a nice little area here. Some of you may have heard that there are sharks in these waters. No true enclosure whatsoever, except for that. Certainly. Did he just say somebody was in there? Wait a second, that's Steve! Yeah, Steve! I don't think it's a good idea for you to be in there, man! He's gonna wrestle that shark anyway? Alright. Ah, Scuba Steve! Alright, folks, please remain in your seats as we make our way to a safer location. Our driver Jesse is going to take us there, which apparently is on this dock behind all these large barrels of gasoline. Sure. Your right-hand side, you're going to see the Chicken Ranch from the best little whorehouse in Texas, starring the national and global treasure Dolly Parton. Rob Zombie used the house for the film House of a Thousand Corpses. And the Chicken Ranch there is just off the corner as we make this left-hand turn down one of, if not our most famous street, Colonial Street. Many of you will recognize it as Wisteria Lane, home to everyone's favorite Desperate Housewives. But it has been used in so many productions before and after that. For example, this beige home, the second one over on your left-hand side, Jimmy Stewart lived in that home in the film Harvey. It is currently the home for Kenan Thompson for his television show Kenan. Kenan Thompson, star of Saturday Night Live, got his own series with NBC. The gray home still on your left-hand side with the red door. Former President Ronald Reagan lived in there back when he was an actor and filming Bedtime for Bonzo. And some of you may remember, you may still have them popping up on your Hulu streaming channels. I'll give you a hint. Liberty, 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 liberty. Leave you. The Liberty Mutual commercials, all filmed in this neighborhood. Some of you may recognize this neighborhood when Tom Hanks moved into it in the comedy classic The Burbs. As we make our way back down, there was a purple house next to Kenan's house. It'll be now on your right-hand side, coming up here in just a moment. The original address to it, 1313 Mockingbird Lane, which makes it the home of the Munsters. And if you take Colonial Street, you put it together with Courthouse Square, you know it is Hill Valley from Back to the Future. You get the sleepy little town of Kingston Falls. Now, Kingston Falls was the town that was overrun and terrorized by little green monsters in one of my favorite Christmas movies of all time. Anybody? Anybody?
The Grinch. The Grinch.
People hear green and they think Grinch. That is incorrect. Thank you for playing. Gremlins! It was Gremlins! Directed by Steven Spielberg. I know some of you are saying that's a Warner Brothers production. Other studios love to come here and film in our lot because once again, we're the biggest, the oldest, and most famous film and television studio in the world. As we leave Colonial Street, let's take a look at a few more productions that were done out there. left-hand turn here as we do. You're going to see some more of our picture cars from some of our productions. For example, the double-decker bus that was used in Austin Powers, The Spy Who Shagged Me. Folks sometimes ask where we get these cars. Well, we get them from all over. We go into new car lots, used car lots, classic car lots. There is a car lot, a very famous one that is still in operation today. It's called Charlie's Used Car Lot. It's on Lancashire in North Hollywood. And Charlie's Used Car Lot is where the character of Marion Crane, played by Janet Leigh, traded her car in for another one to drive across the desert to start her new life after she embezzled that money. Got stuck in a rainstorm, pulled over to a motel, which would be her last night on Earth. That motel, the Bates Motel, which of course was the setting to Psycho, directed by Alfred Hitchcock. Yes, the infamous Bates Motel, room number 1, and the actual Psycho house at the top of the hill there. Now that home is what we refer to as a shell. It started off as a facade. Facade means false front. We only build the fronts and the sides, only what the camera needs to see. A few years later, for a production called Invitation to a Gunfight, they added the other 4 walls on, making it a shell. Because it's finished on the inside, nothing on the inside. Although, some folks say they can still see Mother in the 2nd story window, keeping an eye on her baby boy. As we make our way around past the base hotel, we find ourselves in what I believe to be the most impressive set in our backlot. The airplane crash site from War of the Worlds, directed by Steven Spielberg.
Site set is a perfect example of a set that is all designed around a vision that Steven had.
When we first began to sit down to talk about War of the World, I thought, what if the 747 goes down right in a big neighborhood? Because it's just something you don't see.
You're doing good. You're doing good. Keep your eyes on me. Listen, listen, I want you to close your eyes, okay? Now I'm closed.
Okay.
Robbie, get in. Get in.
That is an actual 747. It's a 1974 Korean Air airliner that is so old that some of you may have noticed that there were still ashtrays in the armrests when you were able to smoke on planes. The price of the airliner was $60,000. However, the price tag to get it here was $200,000, and they had to bring it here in 4 separate pieces. As we make our way on the War of the World set, we're going to see an area with all these trucks here in this cabin, the area known as Falls Lake, the location of another famous airplane crash site. This one, much more uplifting. This is where Tom Hanks played Sully Sullivan in the film Sully. Falls Lake doubled as the Hudson River for that film. The cabin here, originally built for the great outdoors, starring Dan Aykroyd and the late John Candy. And behind Falls Lake, you can see the big blue backdrop. It is the largest freestanding backdrop in the world. Originally built for Jaws, The Revenge. It has been used since then for so many productions. Falls Lake is where Tom Hanks once again, with Bill Paxton and Kevin Bacon, landed safely back on Earth after their perilous days in space in the film Apollo 13. It also was the wall of the dome where Jim Carrey discovered his entire life had been manufactured around him. He took his final bow and walked out the door into the real world at the end of the Truman Show. I'm sorry, what? You got a call from who? From an Agent Hobbs? Folks, apparently our driver's got a call from an Agent Hobbs who is redirecting our tour off of the regular route and into to this Sullivan truck repair. Apparently there's something going on in the lots. We need to wait here for further instructions. Yeah, this looks safe. Alright folks, I'm just going to ask you to please remain in your seats until you know exactly what's... Wait, I'm getting a call right now. Hello?
My name is Roman Pierce. Pleased to meet you. My buddy Hobbs asked us to stash you from Shaw for a while. So we brought you in our secret spot.
Alright, look guys, we're gonna keep Shaw from finding you, but to keep you safe, we need your help. You don't want the syndicate tracking us here, so put away your cameras and turn off your cell phones. One flash or one ringtone could give us away.
I need y'all to take this real serious.
Okay, pull into the next bay. We'll meet you in a minute.
Alright folks, it looks like we're moving ahead. It appears there's a party going on. Well, this just got a whole lot better. I mean, if we got a date anywhere, this is definitely the place to be. Yeah!
Everybody out! The FBI! Turn that music off!
But we just got here. So you're just gonna leave here in the dark? Alright. Hey Robin, what are we doing?
This is what we're doing. This is the race day after party and the what other?
Roman Pierce, FBI, don't move.
Bill,
That's right, party's over.
you know how long I took to iron this shirt, man? I'm like,
You're under arrest right now.
ladies, just back up a little bit. Got it. Slightly. First of all, I don't work for you.
Oh, really? Well, tell me, Roman, who do you work for?
We don't work for nobody. Cop, I suggest you clear out of here, otherwise we can't guarantee your safety.
Guarantee my safety? I'm the one holding the gun.
Yeah, but mine's a whole lot bigger than yours. Hobbs, escort this novice out.
Let's go, Cookie Puss. That ugly suit on, man. It's cheap.
Somebody out there really pissed off Shaw. It's gonna get ugly fast.
Yeah, don't worry. Lucky for you, our whole family will protect you.
Are you kidding me, Roman? You didn't show off your phone, bro?
I gotta call you back. I'm in the middle of something. Call you back. It was on vibrate.
Shaw traced us. Hobbs can't hold him forever. Letty, Roman, we're up. Driver, move that vehicle.
It's about to get real interesting. My Mona Lisa's all warmed up right next door.
Roman, grab your truck. I need you and Letty ready to roll.
Alright folks, looks like we're rolling out. Once again, I'm going to remind everyone to please remain in your seats. Keep your arms away from the vehicle. And now might be a good time for you to put on those 3D safety glasses you received earlier, just as a precaution. Because I'm sure we're going to be fine. I mean, what can you say to them having out what appears to be an abandoned parking lot? Yeah, I feel sick.
Which one of you is the witness? Speak now or you all get fried!
This is our turn.
After them!
Okay, guys, it's showtime. Come to the left. Roman, Letty, hook him up.
I got the bull by the horn!
Now we're moving.
You give me the witness, tell everyone we call it a day! The witness is mine, Letty!
How about you eat asphalt?
Don't think you're getting away! Hold it, doors!
Way to go, Letty. Don't line another missile shot. Not gonna happen. Don't worry, I got this. Willie, don't shoot. Head on the bridge.
attractions! Everybody hold on! Hit the entrance! Right door!
It was fast! It was furious! Give it up for Fast and the Furious Supercharged!
Hell of a job, everybody. You protected the witness and you can resume breathing.
You know it's crazy out there. You guys ride hard. Respect.
You know, my Mona Lisa got messed up a little bit, but it's all good. We got through it. Y'all held us down. Appreciate it.
They say the bigger the family, the stronger it is. You guys did good out there. And you're welcome to join our crew anytime.
Well, what a way to end our tour! Not only did we become part of Dominic Treno's family, but all of you have become part of mine and Jesse's family, as we like to say here at the studio tour. In fact, let's give it up one more time for my man, the nerves of steel behind the wheel, Jesse, for getting us around safe and sound and home.